very sensitive geometry, and this could happen at any point. Now, and actually, we had this national anti-war meeting in Albany, New York, this past weekend. And the one thing that they did come up with, this was not a great gathering. The anti-war movement is in bad shape, but they did decide that there's a march on Washington for essentially an anti-war march run by the AFL-CIO on October 2nd. So that's obviously not going to be a very aggressive program. It's probably going to be something they try to channel into supporting Democratic candidates for Congress, obviously, but still, I think you can inject some stuff into that. It's also interesting, yesterday, the Democrats in the House voted there were about 102 of them, I think, who voted to end the Afghanistan war pretty much right away, which is an increase of 70 votes. So there's a gathering caucus of Democrats who are voting against Obama on one of his main issues, because he campaigned for the presidency on the idea that he was going to escalate Afghanistan, win, and he was going to track down bin Laden. So, again, my favorite slogan is you have two choices in life, get active or get radioactive. Better to get active and better to do it now.
All right, Webster Tarpley will continue to watch these ominous developments. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes. I'm going to take your phone calls now and try to go as quickly to each person as I can so we can get everybody on. And then I want police and military out there to start their engines. Because when we start the second segment at 8 after next hour, I am going to take phone calls as quickly as possible, but they're always intriguing, from people like the gentleman that called a few days ago and said, I was in Iraq in the Army. The Austin SWAT team was there learning from us how to shut down cities and confiscate guns for the United States. Then I searched the term and found the Fort Hood Sentinel admitting the SWAT team had been over there and that they had city officials learning how to lock things down at Fort Hood from Austin. I mean, that's how criminal this city is and how treacherous and traitorous they are. And then we had other callers yesterday saying, yeah, no, I'm in Texas. We train at a fusion center. I train these people. The military comes back. They become law officers, and they're being militarized and taught to the American people of their enemy. So the entire architecture of this militarization of police is targeted at the American people. And we have their internal memos and manuals, about MIAC and others. But none of this has to do with turbaned men that, want to climb out from underneath your bed and suck your blood at night. This is all for you to make sure this offshore banking cartel can really take over this country into the depression we're going. So I want to say we're going to take these calls right now, but then starting in the next hour, we're leaving the phones open for police and military who've been part of this training or have concerns about it, or people that have, Joel Skousen's got a great report out on this. Chuck Baldwin's got one. Top Secret America, the rest of the story, how they're training these black op cadres to kill the American people. And this is all admitted. They're not just training SWAT teams and military. They're training Boy Scouts. The LAPD's actually taken over the Explorer Scout program, and in the drills, on TV and in the newspapers, they say to take on disgruntled vets and kill them. I mean, you cannot, in fact, search engine for people right now, Boy Scouts training to take on vets. And then you can see the New York Times photos of the images of the mock dead vets killed by the kids. So, I mean, the real training on the basis, left, right, it's for you. Remember that. When they first induct somebody in a SWAT team or military, the first drills are guys with turbans and, they'll have these little events. But then next it's, by the way, we're fighting Farmer Jones. There it is, Government Ready's Youth Corps to take on vets. That's the Prison Planet article, but if you scroll down, there'll be a link to the New York Times. You can see all the photos and read all about it, and they say how wonderful all of this is. So this is what my film Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA covers. And the article in the New York Times is Scouts Trained to Fight Terrorists and More. And the first line says, the disgruntled vet's angry. He won't turn in the gun. They send him in. They take him out. There it is, 10 minutes into errant mayhem in the town near the Mexican border. A gunman, a disgruntled Iraq war veteran, has already taken out 2 people. One slumped on a desk, the other covered in blood on the floor. And, folks, I've seen the drills. It's been in the news in Michigan where they practice taking on homeschooling families and killing you. I mean, that's AP. I could pull it up right now. I mean, you can't make up the diabolical nature. This has happened in every other country. When nations go bad, this is what happens. All right, I'm going to shut up and go to your calls. That's coming up next hour. Let me give the police officers and military people who want to give us their comments on this or any intel the number 1-800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. This will be informative. Matt in Georgia, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good, sir.
Hey, actually, my main thing is on Iran, but I am military, and I got a tip for you. You can search, you can Google, or you can put it into YouTube. They actually have their promotional video up. The system we were trained to use is called the HIDE. That's HIIDE. What it is it's a small camera. They use it in theater, but we were told that this is going to be used everywhere. This is not just in the United States. This is a global thing. They can upload about 40,000 iris scans and face scans and fingerprint scans into the camera itself. And they're working on expanding this. So basically what you do is you go in, you gather biometric data any place that you go. And it also has a function so you can put the last place this person was spotted. So the idea was, well, if they were spotted in, say, Basra, and then you see them again in Tikrit, then you would say, well, why are you in Tikrit? So it's a system that's...
Yeah, for those that don't know, I saw earlier generations of this. It's in Police State 2000, where they're practicing putting San Franciscans. They say, where are you from? I'm from San Francisco. Where'd you get the weapon? And they iris scan you. They enroll you into this. And in Fallujah, if you don't have the ID card that goes with this, Tom Brokaw, one of his last broadcasts, said, like it was good, you were executed on the spot. I mean, that's an amazing, that was on NBC Nightly News. And there is the L1 Identity Solutions HIDE system. The police are now getting this all over the country. And your digital photo, the face scanning cameras. This is the secret weapon a year ago written about by Washington Post writer, who, of course, was a part of going after Nixon. And he, what's his name? It'll pop in my head in a second. Who's the famous writer? No, what? No, it's not Frost. No, it's not Cy Hirsch. Who are the two? I'm having one of those moments. Who are the two famous people that did Watergate? Bob Woodward. These are the secret weapons, and they're on the cameras, on the light poles, everywhere. I'm going to shut up. Go ahead and tell folks about the HIDE, the Beast Tracking Control Grid.
Right, yeah, it's basically they take the thumbprint, iris scan, face scan, and they said that this is supposed to be a global system. I also saw a news clip also on YouTube that they're already integrating this in Colorado, and they're using it for they said routine traffic stops every now and then.
No, they have face scanning cameras and thumbprint readers going in all over the country. Most departments don't tell the slave public this, but they have units with the license plate scanners. It's here, and it's going to be used against citizens. Illegal aliens will be above the law.
But actually, my main thing, the reason I called was I'm looking at Kurt Nemo's article, Possible False Flag on the Japanese tanker. And I think there's something that we miss a lot of times when we look at something like the Trilateral Commission, is we always think of Europe and the United States. Well, there's the third leg, which is Japan. If you look at who owns a tanker, it's Mitsui, which was a backer of the fascist regime in World War II. It was one of what was called the Zaibatsu, which was one of the monopolies. They're closely tied to the royal family in Japan, and it's also a bank. Mitsui is the largest bank in Japan. It's one of the largest in the world. So when they voted out the LDP prime minister earlier, and they put Hatoyama in, who was from the Democratic Party, this is only the second time since World War II that the LDP's been out of control. And they've only been out of control for probably 2 years during the past 50. But he came in saying he was going to, scale down U.S. bases. He wasn't going to remilitarize Japan, which has been a big push, especially with the former prime minister.
And then suddenly the ship gets blown up in South Korea, and World War III is being talked about.
Exactly, and as well, if you look at Afghanistan, when they announced all these mineral riches, Karzai visited Japan and said that Japan has first dibs. So there's a lot of pull from different directions. Their big problem is that the Japanese public, they like the fact that their constitution says that they can't operate militarily outside their country. If they do, all they can do is basically drive trucks or deliver food aid.
Well, I'll tell you this, the word is from good sources that for the last 15 years, Japan, because of the threat of China and North Korea, has been rearming.
Right. They now have the fifth largest military in the world. but they won't cross that certain line. They tried to put those troops in Iraq, and the public wouldn't stand for it. They were trying to get them into Afghanistan. The most they could do is provide some resupply ships off the coast of Pakistan to resupply American ships. But now there's this big push again, and there's no reason why Iran would attack a Japanese ship. I mean, if you remember, they're selling oil in Japanese yen. So they've always had a favorable opinion of the Japanese. So for them to do it would be suicide.
Matt, who knows what the truth is? I appreciate your great points. And yes, face scanning is coming to everywhere. You'll need it to buy and sell with the national sales tax. This is the public plan, and the churches won't tell you. And if America doesn't get serious and get focused and get concerned, and the rest of the planet doesn't get serious and concerned and say no to all of this, we are in for very horrible times. Seal in Canada, you're on the air.
Thank you very much, John.